I'm Rick Spence here at the Startup Canada Tour in Windsor, Ontario. We're here with Tom Lucier, a local entrepreneur. You run the Fog Lounge in downtown Windsor. Tell us a little bit about how that business got started.
Oh man, me and a buddy, we would hang out at the place in its old form. It was called Lift Lounge, and we just liked being there. And then when they left, we thought we could probably do a lot more with this space than those guys were doing. And I had been running a business, a magazine, like an arts and culture magazine, so it kind of fit perfectly. I put the magazine to bed and moved into actually being a part of the community rather than just reporting on it.
And tell us about your customers. Do you cater mainly to the tourists attracted by the casino, or are you more of a local hangout?
You could say we're the closest thing to a neighborhood bar. I'd say we're the safest bar in Windsor. There's not too many people that come in that we don't know, and they're all in the range of cultural appreciation. So music, theater, visual art, literary arts. We take care of every single one of those groups. They all tend to appreciate one another, so we cater to them. In fact, we were adopted by them. We came into that space thinking we were just going to be surrounded by all of our friends, and then they ended up adopting us, and we kind of changed our view to what they wanted, and the space became what they wanted most.
And what's your biggest challenge running Fog Lounge in downtown Windsor? What are the biggest challenges you have to overcome in order to be a sustainable, ongoing success?
Well, it's really tough in downtown Windsor because there's not the critical mass of like 20 businesses or 10 businesses that move into a space that bring attention. Downtowns are having difficulty, so we come down here and we are one bright spot, and we shout as loud as we can, and that can be a real benefit because there's not many people doing what you're doing, but there's also no foot traffic. I mean, we're a block and a half with short blocks off of the main drag, and we're considered like in the boonies. It's really strange. So we have to be very loud, considering we do something that no one else does in the city. We should just have to exist, and have people walk through our doors. So that's a big challenge in Windsor in general. The community here that appreciates what we provide is very limited, very self-selecting crowd. We will take anybody. We'll have anyone who wants to come in and appreciate live music or art or a poetry night once in a while. But we work really hard to get that dollar because it seems like it's a sexy dollar. The cultural scene, people who are intelligent and pay attention to cultural events. So there's a lot of people vying for that dollar all of a sudden. We feel we did a really good job making our profile gigantic, and everyone else seems to have seen the light, and they're catering to the same crowd now.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what the entrepreneurial scene in Windsor is like. Do you think there's a lot of entrepreneurial activity? Do you think there could be more?
There could be so much more. There's a real struggle, I think, for mentorship, and not because there's not mentors, but there's a real disconnect, I think, between the schools and people who want to get their hands on people who are young and show them how they can make their way maybe in a place like Windsor. I think if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So this is a place where you would want, if you were here for school for something, business related, you would want people like myself and I mean, dozens of people that I know who would love to spend time with young people. So that's an issue, definitely. Entrepreneurially, the people who do stuff here, they're really sharp. I think they make really good decisions to open businesses when they do. But it's all about location. Everyone wants to be downtown. They do want to be. When people think about doing this stuff, they think downtown. Unfortunately, there isn't that critical mass. And even the businesses that are great ideas, they can't benefit from being, an island, and it makes it very difficult for them. So there would be more, because there would be more that would be in business still, no question, if there were just more people around them. If city taxes were different so that landlords could give people breaks. Like right now, there are many issues facing an entrepreneur, especially in downtown, and it makes it that much more difficult, So I think there's huge opportunity. I know several people with great ideas. They've got a lot of red tape and a lot of roadblocks.
A couple examples of the red tape. We're looking for specific things that either local groups or an organization like Startup Canada could really, bite into and try and make some change. What is some of the red tape that we might clear away?
I would say like even some invisible tape. You have a lot, like Windsor is like the biggest small town, I would say, in Canada. And there's a lot of favoritism and nepotism in terms of investment and the way these things work. It's really tough. So when you're just a startup and you have a great idea, that doesn't necessarily mean someone's going to invest. So you're usually tied into some kind of funding situation or funding body with which there are tons of red tape. Deciding who's getting the job. Did you put this an RFP or what did you, all these kinds of things that make it very difficult to just make an idea happen. Let's just do this. Red tape, I would say, a business wants to start, for instance, a cafe or a bar, a year ago or 2 years ago, to get a cafe was impossible. It was like trying to buy plutonium or something. So it was really difficult and very expensive. And those are the kinds of things that can be taken care of so easily on a municipal level or on a community level. You just go, yeah, open it because it's best for everybody down here. But these things get bogged down in council, or they get bogged down in the idea stage because people know what has happened to the entrepreneurs ahead of, before them. And so there's a lot of people who don't even want to risk it. They don't even want to go forward because they've seen it all. They've heard all the difficulties. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. It's just, I know people in the entrepreneurial world for every type of business, and there's always new red tape that comes up. And I shake my head all the time that all these great ideas and people with fire that aren't working for, a multinational. I mean, these companies are all great, but people have their own idea, something new, a new identity, something that would help the city. And they're getting squashed before they even get off the ground. It's very disheartening. So it's not disheartening to see the effort, to see people who have the ideas, because Windsor's really good for that stuff. But what we tend to do is leave town and make it big in Toronto and Montreal. So we can do it in these huge cities where you think there might be more red tape. But, that's how it's been going. We have a laundry list. If you get the list of how many people have succeeded here with great ideas in bigger cities, it's crazy. And they could do it here.
So it sounds like we have to work with City Hall and make sure that the people who are advocating more entrepreneurship, more self-employment, more self-development, make sure that spirit carries over in other parts. And just one of the things Startup Canada is trying to do is Startup Canada, to try and create a more entrepreneurial culture, clear away some of the baggage and impediments on a national level. Mm-hmm. Anything you can think of sort of on a national level in Canada that we need to clear away in order to really get our entrepreneurial juices flowing?
I think the digital divide is a big issue for me. I'll say this because there are some clubs in Vancouver and clubs in Saskatchewan, and I'm saying Vancouver in particular as a city, but Saskatchewan as a province, that even rural areas that somehow have these places that do say what I do in a downtown city center, and they do very well, or they do better, and they have great advice. I'm one of very few businesses who's an early adopter of new technology and new media, and because of that, got a lot of press nationally for that stuff, and it lent other businesses almost like a permission to reach out to us and talk about new media stuff and use those tools to communicate. And I do, and we do, and we'll have these big email chains with 12 people who all run venues across Canada, and the things that we're facing, the things that we're up against, and the types of bylaws and federal laws and things that we're up against that just make things more difficult, or things that more hoops we have to jump through. And so I guess just opening up the communication, the lines of communication, the free lines of communication via all of the avenues that we already know how to use, those are really helpful. It's not tough to draw those lines, to just say, hey, you know what? I know someone who does what you do, but they're in Winnipeg. You should talk to them. Because now it's so easy to have those conversations, and they help no matter where you are. Canada's a small place. It seems like no matter what kind of business you're in, it's really small. It's really tight-knit. The Windsor music community is so tied into the national music community just because touring bands come through here now. It doesn't take much. It's just opening up those lines of communication, I think, would help a lot in terms of maybe birthing all kinds of different national business concepts that people haven't thought of before because they're not having the conversations.
Okay, perfect. Some great ideas. Thank you very much, Tom Lucier of Fog Lounge. That's PHOG, Fog Lounge. Thanks very much, and best of luck with that business.
Thanks.